Update: am I the butthole for not wanting to share room with stepbrother anymore after he came out? Okay, I know it hasn't been that long, but crap kind of hit the fan this WK. Here's my original. So thanks everyone for supporting me through this cause. I felt like I was losing it with everyone at home making me feel like crap. It helped a lot that people understood what Jay was dealing with and didn't make me feel bad for feeling the way I do. Some comments were saying I needed to tell my mom about what was going on since she didn't know, even though I felt bad about it. A day after I posted, I told her. First about the way Steven was acting with me, and then how they were all giving me crap about being homophobic since I decided to move out of my room after he came out. She was pissed the F off. She told me to put my dad on, and I could hear her yelling at him from the phone when I gave it to him. My dad wasn't happy and they were arguing for like a half hour. But he said he was sorry for not really doing much for me about Steven, and my mom says she doesn't want me there. Cause of Steven, and also doesn't like that I'm sleeping in the basement and doesn't know if it's even safe for me down there since it's an old basement. My mom told me she wants me over there with her, but only if I want to. School is online and I don't see any of my friends anyway, so it wouldn't be a big deal if I stayed with her. I talked to my dad and then to my mom. He was mad that I wanted to go with her, but he didn't tell me anything else. She drove all the way back here and picked me up on Thursday. Been here at the hotel she's staying at since Friday. It's more chill, to be honest. I'm here alone most of the time since my mom has to work all day, so I like the privacy. I've talked to my dad and he says they're going to talk to Steven. I don't know how that's going to go when my stepmom was still all defensive about him when I left. We'll see, I guess. I don't know for how long we'll be here. I think another 2 to 3 months, but at least I'm not there at my dad's for right now with all those uncomfortable vibes. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Since everyone was really helpful about what I should do and how I don't need to be dealing with that crap. Web link. I'm so happy your mom was totally on your side. She needs a huge hug for being super mom for her son. I'm glad you told your mom and was able to leave, because your first post made my stomach turn, because you were being sexually harassed in your own home. This update is amazing and you have a fantastic mother. Talk to your dad and try to tell him you still love him, but he not defending you is what made you want to leave. Edit. Thank you for the awards. That was a good mama bear right there. Definitely. I'm glad she had original posters back and was able to get him out of there before something even worse happened. Because obviously no one in the house had original posters' best interest or his boundaries in mind. It was about making the stepkid comfortable. Original posters' comfortability be damned. I was waiting for a good update on this, so I'm glad that it happened finally. Honestly, I got the sense they don't want to upset the stepson because he is gay, and everyone is always scared of upsetting the minority, even when they are obscenely in the wrong. He needs to be taught appropriate boundaries and behavior, and how to not to flaunt his status, in this instance certainly. Being in a minority does not mean you automatically get your way all of the time, or get whomever you want, all of time. I get being touchy-feely even. I love physical touch myself. But if someone says they are uncomfortable with something, I stay hands off. Stepbrother was way out of line. My stomach turned reading the original post. Same. I'm hugely touchy-feely, appropriate affection like hugging and snuggling, which are great stress relievers, but I also only do with my friends since we know our boundaries, as well as being more comfortable revoking consent, whereas a stranger may not be. This post just makes me so mad for original poster, and his dad should have defended him. I'm a huge touchy person. But I definitely see a boundary and respect that. Even I don't touch people's laps. I crossed a couple of people's comfort zones unintentionally and felt like crap about it. Just disturbing that this stepbrother was like, who cares about a boundary? Same. I used to be very physically affectionate, but also with people whom I knew, and always was quick to adjust if I ever saw any signs of someone not being the same. Totally agree. Gay/straight/bi/non-binary etc. We all need to learn appropriate behavior and boundaries. The stepbrother is 16 and needs to learn not to be a creep. This. A friend of a friend who's gay is always flirting with hetero guys hard, as in touching, rubbing up against and saying sexual stuff to guys who are clearly uncomfortable with it. But he plays it off as just kidding. And the guys he does it with are on the shy side and keep trying to brush it off instead of saying anything or being rude with him and risking being branded as homophobic. There was a similar case in this sub recently, were the GF's best friend, forever would be inappropriate but got backlash when he told the guy harassing him off. I remember that. And the girl's friend would say grossly inappropriate things to the boyfriend that were definitely not okay. It is okay to call out bad behavior, even if the person behaving badly is gay. It doesn't make you a homophobe, it just means that they're a butthole who has no respect for boundaries and thinks that using their sexuality is a get out of jail free. If they think their sexuality is a free pass to being a dick, they will keep doing it and ultimately their sexual assaults will land them in very serious trouble. Is always flirting with hetero guys hard, as in touching, rubbing up against that's not flirting, that's sexual assault. I am old as F. I had a much younger coworker that was a creep. He was talked to by management several times. I finally talked to him and asked him how he would feel if I, a much older cis woman, kept creeping on him and made him feel uncomfortable. I told him to go home and just imagine that for a bit. Now, I'm not unfortunate looking for my age, but you should have seen the horror in his eyes, laughing my butt off. That settled him down a bit. I love this approach. I think behavior often depends on how long a person's been out, too. From observation, it's kind of like letting a cork out of the bottle. All the repression is released and some people get very extra because they feel they're finally free and they need time to chill it out a bit. Not an excuse, and I'm super glad you found a way to check people being inappropriately sexual. I'll put that away in my arsenal. That reminds me of the time I was drunk and didn't realize a guy was into me until he started touching me, at which point I just stepped away from him awkwardly. Later he accused me of being homophobic and I was like, no, I'm gay. I never met him again anyway. It's okay to be rude to someone who is making you feel uncomfortable. I just want to put that out there. Agree. I think there's also an element of not wanting to address a young person's predatory behavior. He's 16, so he's absolutely not a child, but he's also not an adult. Acknowledging that he is a perpetrator of sexual harassment forces the stepmother to acknowledge that her son isn't sexually innocent anymore, but he's also very obnoxiously disrespecting boundaries, which he was responsible, as his parent, for teaching him from a young age, but failed to do so. It's really important that a kid exhibiting behaviors like this receive treatment immediately, because when given treatment while your brain is still developing, there's a much higher rate of success and most are able to go on and live normal lives. Difficult to come to terms with, I'm sure, but if they really love him, they should do what's best for him and everyone else. Absolutely. He still has several years left of the formative neurological developmental stage. Sure, he won't be as adaptable as, say, a 10-year-old, but his thought processing is still somewhat malleable. Alas, this all comes down to the mother and her inability to position her son as the perpetrator and automatically assuming that he's the victim due to his sexuality. Highly unlikely that she'll put her pride aside though. Hopefully he can learn from the situation itself, rather than relying on his mother's warped idea of boundaries and harassment. It's really sad how much parents can damage their kids because of their own pride. Yeah, I am LGBTQ and his status is not a free pass to be wildly inappropriate like this. Would the parents have felt the same if this was a straight M stepson acting like this toward their F daughter? Honestly, I don't see it as flaunting his status, I see it as more predatory than that. Just because you are gay does not instantly mean just getting nude around step-siblings on the regular or ogling them while in compromised positions. And he's mad he's not sharing space with him anymore? Like, bro, wonder why he can't be such a voyeur/exhibitionist anymore. Yes, they are tiptoeing around the step trying to do what they think is the right thing. All while telling the original poster that he has to stay in a situation where he's being actively sexually harassed. That is not a lesson you want your kids to learn. If your child is uncomfortable with a relationship and you tell them to go along and get along, that's setting them up to question their feeling and allow themselves to be abused in other relationships. It doesn't matter if they are male, female, gay, straight, trans and so on, it's the wrong message for a young person. I think there's some of that for sure. And unfortunately I've read enough of these posts to get the inkling that if a parent is in love with a step-parent they will bend over backwards to appease them even at the expense to their own kids. And of course, stepmom is not going to want to admit her son is a creep and dad just has to play along. Not excusing it. It's disgusting. But I've seen this too much. Now that I'm pregnant, my mom is urging me to get a post-nup guaranteeing our child's inheritance rights in a divorce because she's seen it too many times. Pressure from stepmom can happen in both genders, but we see it more from stepmoms, And the child from a previous marriage gets shafted when it comes to their father's estate. That's exactly what I was thinking too. Very glad to see the update. This is why I usually suggest kids in situations where one of the causes of conflict are a bio and step-parent to go talk to their other bio parent. There's a power imbalance there that isn't between co-parents. Know what the weirdest part/largest red flag in all of this is? What 16-year-old doesn't want their own room? I understand if original poster straight up said I don't want to live here anymore, how the stepbro might get offended. But who in their right mind doesn't want privacy? I'm sure you'd still like to see your dad, so here's a solution. Original poster. Tell your dad to get a radon test to see if the air in the basement is livable. If the test comes back where the radon is too high, there are air pumps that you could get installed. Best of luck. Original poster. I'm honestly confused. What is radon? His original post was about not wanting his stepbrother to walk around naked around him and it coming into their room naked or change in front of him. It doesn't have anything to do with the air quality. Unless I missed something? Radon poisoning is a thing in basements apparently, and original poster moved into the basement to get away from Steven. I think I read somewhere that radons are the second leading cause of lung cancer. Radon is a product of uranium-238 decay and it is radioactive. And the remediation can be expensive, depending on the layout of the basement. You can't just buy a fan at Walmart and blow air toward the door. Well, I wish someone would have told me that before I bought this fan. I understand now. I've never had a basement, so I've never heard that term before. But I think what made him want to move out was a multitude of things. 1. His stepbrother boundary stomping. 2. His father saying that he needs to get over it basically. 3. His stepmother and his stepbrother accusing original poster of being homophobic when there was none. I don't think the basement was the issue, other than his mom not liking the fact that her son had to resort to living there. But honestly, I don't think original poster should live or even visit for overnight at his dad's, because no one in the house takes original poster's boundaries seriously. His mom did the right thing by removing original poster from the house until a court date is set. I don't think anyone is saying that the basement is the reason he left. I think they're just pointing out that if he ever chooses to visit his dad and stay for a night, he should make sure his dad tests the basement for radon beforehand, because it could be detrimental to his health if there is high levels of radon. It also depends on the area. No reason to do a test if it is not in your area. Radon is a carcinogenic gas that is released by bedrock, and then it seeps through the foundation of a home, and gradually into the basement. It can be a problem anywhere, even in kitchens due to granite countertops releasing it over time, but it is most prevalent in basements. It can be more or less of a concern in different areas depending on what type of rock is underneath your house. You can Google a map to see if you're in an affected area, and any home inspector should be able to test your basement for $100. I think there may even be DIY test kits. High radon concentration in a basement can be remediated by putting in some ventilation underneath the foundation of a home, which will suck any gases away before they enter the home. Another poster mentioned gases released by appliances, that is carbon monoxide, not radon. It is still a concern, but it is not limited to basements. Everyone should get a few continuous carbon monoxide monitors installed around the house to let you know if there's ever a problem with your furnace/car idling in an attached garage/fireplace chimney blocked, etc. His mom yelled at his dad over the phone about 1. The stepbrother being inappropriate, and 2. Him moving out of his room into the basement and it not being safe for him to live in the basement because it's an old basement and they didn't know if it was safe or not. Says this in the post, so a radon test and a mold test is needed to check if the basement is safe for him to stay in, because I'm sure he still wants to visit his father. And since he said it was an old basement, the window wells may need to be updated due to fire code. Older basements don't have the deep window wells that allow for a bedroom. It may still be unsafe if he doesn't have a fire escape exit. Legally, you are supposed to have 2 exit options. Basements generally don't have windows that you can fit through. True, but I think I'd rather live in a fire hazard basement rather than with his stepbrother. I was surprised I didn't see this on the original post. Even if he wasn't being sexually assaulted, he should have been able to say, I just want my own space, and that not be an issue. You don't need something horrible to happen to you to want your own room, especially since the other child has moved into his space that he is used to having to himself. Wow, that Steven guy sure is weird. I wouldn't blame you for wanting to get away from him, and I'm gay myself. Yeah, from reading both posts, being gay has nothing to do with it really, people should just respect boundaries. This exactly. I'm also queer. Steven is weaponizing his identity to get out of experiencing any consequences for being a boundary-stomping creep. I'm glad original poster got away from that situation. Edit. Wow. Thank you for the awards, kind strangers. I usually hate the make the person this gender argument, but for real, make original poster a girl and Steven a straight male and everyone would be up in arms. Make them both girls and it's still messed up, regardless of their sexuality. 100% true. The point is that not everyone sees it unless you put it in those different terms, usually due to societal ideas about what's typical. Yeah, it's sad you have to do that. But you are right, and some people simply cannot see things without a spoon-fed perspective. Yes. There's a hugely popular Netflix Regency romance drama on right now, and it doesn't upset anybody that a woman tried to force a man to impregnate her. So I started lying when discussing it, and said a man forced a woman to become pregnant, and they're mortified that it's popular. It's ridiculous. Makes a mockery of male sexual assault victims. I think I know exactly what you're talking about, and it blew my mind how many people were okay with what happened, and even more so the people that were justifying it. It was sad. I know what series you mentioned. I even dropped the series because of that plot. Weary face. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.